The only way to overcome pain, wounds, trauma is to actually face it, to
Mm.
feel it. So many people are afraid to feel the emotion, the fear, the doubt, maybe the anger, because they think that if they feel it, they're never going to get rid of it. They're going to get stuck in it.
So here we go. Another episode of Transform Your Future. My guest today is Emma Heywood. Emma is a clinical hypnotherapist, a practitioner of rapid transformational therapy. She's a performance mindset coach and a classically trained actress performing on stages from North America to Europe. She's been on her own mental health journey since she was 12 years old. She knows what it's like to struggle with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. She has transformed her life using hypnotherapy and the power of her subconscious mind. She went from living a life of pain and low self-esteem to one of inner freedom, self-worth, joy, abundance, and embodying her purpose. And now she helps others create that same confidence and freedom within as well. So welcome, Emma. Uh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that I met you and that we've been, talking with each other. And I'm so glad we're going to do this and get some information out there to help others. Okay. So,
Agreed. Thank you for having me.
yes, please. So, whenever you like here, you can just jump right in. And if we want to start talking about hypnosis, programming your subconscious for peak performance, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I would love to start off by just saying it's really good to see your mind in two different parts, right? You have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is your overthinking mind, logical mind, overanalyzing. What am I gonna have for dinner? What did this person say to me? It only controls about 5% of you. Your subconscious mind controls 95 to 98% of you, and your subconscious is your autopilot, right? So it's what's pumping your heart, getting you to breathe, blinking your eyes. You don't think about any of that. Otherwise, we would go crazy. But your subconscious also is your emotional mind, your feeling mind. It doesn't care about logic. Your subconscious holds all of your past experiences and your beliefs. And what I like to say is your subconscious beliefs run the performance of your life, right? So I work with high performers, I work with athletes and artists. But I like to say when I work with non-performers that we're all the main character of our life. We're all the performers of our life. And we all have stories that we live by, these subconscious stories that we live by, which are really our subconscious beliefs. And so our beliefs, again, control our life. So we don't even realize that we don't have as much control over our reactions than we realize. So what I do with people is go back and help them understand, where did this belief come from? And is it still serving me?
Hmm.
Because every day we're giving ourselves suggestions, right? I can't do this. I'm not good enough. What if I lose? And every suggestion makes you feel something. A suggestion is nothing more than that story we're telling ourselves, that belief we're telling ourselves. And so that belief or that thought, right? Because a belief is nothing more than a thought you've thought over and over and over again. That thought or that belief creates a feeling. That feeling creates an action or a behavior, and that action creates an event, which goes back to that belief or thought,
Mhm.
right? So it's this looping cycle. And so let's take a thought or a belief of, I suck, I can't do this. For an athlete, I can't win. That's going to create a feeling of, oh my God, I feel so bad about myself. I'm performing so badly. Then the behavior is, I'm not performing up to my standard, which creates the event of, I lost this match, I lost this game, which confirms that belief of I can't win. So what I'm doing with you is helping you go back to the root and change the belief, change the habit of thought so that we can change the habit of action.
So, and I'm just guessing, like I'm relating to all this. So for example, I
Totally.
have spine problems, right? And I have a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working on this for a long time and I keep trying to get myself better. I'm obsessed about my health and hacking my body and my health. But like, for
Yeah.
example, I'll get pain and I'll think, oh God, I can't work right now. I need to just relax. I need to lay down on
Mm-hmm.
the heating pad or something. I need to calm down. And then so my belief is that I'm not able to work at the level I want to work. And sometimes, like, I say to myself, no, that's not true. That's a lie. That's not
Mm-hmm.
true. Is that really true? Of course I could do more, and I can handle it. I could take care of myself and still be able to push. And, so like, this is what we're talking about, right? Essentially is like, the
Yeah,
more I believe I can't do something, or I'm at my limit and I can't go further, the more that's what I'm telling myself and talking to my subconscious, then I act that way. And so I need to interrupt
exactly.
that. I need to interrupt that, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
my mentor has this great line, which I tell to my athletes, and that is, belief without talent will get you further than talent without belief. So performance in any
Mm,
way, it's 80 to 90% is belief. Belief is everything. Your beliefs are everything. And so in terms of the suggestion you're giving yourself, which is I'm in pain, I can't work. So every thought you think or suggestion you give yourself creates a physical reaction in the body and an emotional response. What we have to do is change that thought or that belief. And you might not believe something right away. That's why hypnosis comes in, because we're pouring that belief and that suggestion into your operating system. Your subconscious is your operating system. So the more you repeat that new belief, the more you're going to believe it. Repetition is the language of belief. And the thing with your subconscious is that it takes every single thing you say literally. It doesn't understand good or bad, right or wrong, self-deprecation. If I could tell
right.
people one thing, stop using self-deprecating humor. So when you say to yourself,
Mm,
oh, this is killing me, it's going to feed you back those kinds of pain and physical sensations. Or,
mhm, mhm.
my boss is driving me crazy, this thing is killing me, this project's giving me hell. Like, you're going to keep recreating those same circumstances if you keep feeding that to your subconscious. Your subconscious is always listening, always on record. And so, again, my mentor often says to tell yourself a better lie, because that lie will eventually become the truth, right? Because your
Yes, yes,
subconscious is taking it, right? And
yes,
so
yes.
I know in the beginning you're like, wait, but I am feeling physical pain. But if you keep telling yourself, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, your body's like, okay, I'm going to keep feeding you back more pain and more pain and more pain.
Mm,
So even if you don't believe it right away at first, play with that game of belief, play with that game of imagination,
yes,
right? Our imagination is our superpower. It's the biggest
yes.
tool that we have, and your subconscious mind works in images in that way. So that's why with athletes and high performers, we work so much on visualization, not only visualizing what you're seeing, but feeling the emotional experience. So when you're in pain and your back is in pain, you want to visualize it being exactly how you want it to be, but also mentally and emotionally rehearse body the you who is not in pain, right?
Yes.
And so also in hypnosis, what we're doing, and I work with a lot of physical issues for hypnosis, because in hypnosis, as we bypass the conscious mind, we tap into the subconscious. I'm literally talking to your cells in hypnosis, and I am commanding them. I am compelling them. I am directing them to function in a certain way. So I just worked with an athlete on an injury where I was talking to the cells in her shoulder. I was giving her the direct mental instructions to her subconscious, to her cells, and also giving her the powerful imagery of her shoulder being better than it was before. Right. So
Mm.
hypnosis, it works for emotional beliefs you have to overcome, physical beliefs you have to overcome, and stepping into that version of you on the other side.
Yeah. So, um, you had, I know you mentioned to me that it's like I'm always hypnotizing myself all day, right?
Yeah.
The act of hypnosis is not something that is an event outside of me. It's actually happening within me, and I'm doing it to myself all day. So whether I'm telling myself I can get to this place, I can do this thing, I could succeed at a high level, I'm going to go into this. I work with a lot of salespeople and helping them to break
Hmm.
six figures and double their income and things like that. And so I went from zero to $8 million worth of sales in 18 months. And I did that
Amazing.
by acting as if, telling myself, I can handle this. Whatever comes my way, I have the ability to take care of it. Nothing is going to overwhelm me. I'm not going to allow things to trigger me, and that kind of
Hmm.
self talk created, and basically, how people say act as if. So I did the acting as if. So
Yes.
it's interesting what you're saying to me. I never really considered that basically we're all hypnotizing ourselves all day anyway. It's just now whether you want to hypnotize yourself for a better result, or you want to keep getting the old result that you're already getting. If you like the pain, if you like the discomfort, right, then keep doing it your way. If you want to try something new, then you try this new programming. I love it. I love it. Um, a
Exactly.
question, a
Exactly.
question I had, about it was you had mentioned to me privately that the only way to do this is to actually go through it, right? That
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so do you find that people try to avoid going through it, like they're resistant to it, like they want to fight it and like, maybe hold on to it and not let go of it?
Yes, very much. So the official catchphrase in my practice that I've created is the only way out is through. The only way to overcome pain, wounds, trauma is to actually face it, to
Mm,
feel it. So many people are afraid to feel the emotion, the fear, the doubt, the anger, because they think that if they feel it, they're never going to get rid of it. They're going to get stuck in it. And it's the opposite. We have to move through an emotion, ride the wave of an emotion to allow it to pass through us. Because I work with athletes, I like to call it the adult temper tantrum. When they're on court, something doesn't go their way, and they've never dealt with the deeper pain or the deeper anxiety or the deeper fears, the deeper anger. What's going to explode on court? The thing that's been bottled up the whole time, and then they lose their temper, they lose them, they get so caught up in a past moment that that energy goes with them to this moment, right? And they lose that. But what I help people with is go into the emotion off court or off stage or privately in life when we go deep into the subconscious and face the fears and face the wounds and allow yourself to feel it, because once you feel it, then you're liberated. Then it doesn't have as big of a hold on you anymore. Right. So in those moments when you're being triggered in life, you're like, oh, I know where this initial wound came from. So I don't have that pressure cooker anymore. So what's so powerful about hypnotherapy, and I have different styles of hypnotherapy I work on with people. I have a regression hypnotherapy, which is kind of what I'm referencing, where we have to go into the to release it and get to the other side and understand where it came from in the first place. Because when you can understand the why do I have this fear? Why do I have this limiting belief? Oh, because in my experience working with people, most babies are not born with these limiting beliefs, right? It's through our conditioning, society, our families that these beliefs are placed upon us, that have been
mhm,
stuck in our subconscious minds. Because when we're kids, we are operating from pure subconscious. We're in a state of hypnosis. So all of these suggestions we are absorbing, right? We don't have conscious mind to think, oh,
mm,
this is happening because of XYZ. We're just like, no,
mhm.
I have this, it's my fault. And that belief of I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy or whatever stuck in our system. And that's what's still controlling your life. So some of my programs, we go back and actually clear out the root cause. We find the root cause and clear it out. Also, hypnotherapy just by itself, just that power of reconditioning, that power of suggestion. For some high performers, they just want that. And that's great. That's how I teach them the conscious mindset coaching, the power of their thoughts, the power of their minds, visualizations, redirecting their mind, coming back to that present moment, right? Choosing that next best feeling thought, which is going to create that action. Because as you said before, we're always giving ourselves suggestions every single day. And so it's about understanding that, catching the suggestion that you don't want. And it just takes practice, right? I was talking to a
Yeah.
client earlier. I'm like, we're just catching that negative thought, bringing awareness to it, and saying, wait, if this thought is going to make me feel something and then make me behave in a certain way, I don't want that. That thought
Yeah.
of I can't win, that's not helping me. And so one of the tips I give people is when you're starting to open that door of believability and you might not believe something right away, just say to yourself, it's possible. It's possible I can do this. It's possible I can believe in myself. It's possible I can walk into that room super confident, right? All of this is practice. All of this is rehearsing and mental rehearsal. And what you said about acting as if, so I'm also an actor and used
Right.
to perform
Right.
live on stage, right? And so I bring that into my practice. It's like acting as if. Our imagination is the most powerful thing we have. And again, the subconscious uses images. So when I work with high performers, it's like, okay, what's an image that really resonates with you? Maybe it's an animal, maybe it's something in nature. Put that image into your body, because your body and your subconscious mind is the same thing. So when you walk on court, you're like, okay, I have a tiger in my chest. That's going to make me feel something. That's going to affect my performance, right? So
Yes.
it's using all these different tools and techniques to know that every thought you think is a direct instruction to your subconscious. And your subconscious is always going to literally give what you're telling it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much that I relate to this. I guess I want to talk about for a second just I got clean in 1988 and I haven't
Amazing.
done drugs or drank since then. So it's been a long time. But in the beginning,
Yeah.
I just focused on, abstaining is what I really focused on.
Hmm.
And I tried to find a new way to live. But after several years, I started to observe, right? You have to be an observer. That's what you were talking about, is like really starting to observe what you're doing, what you're thinking, what's
Yeah.
triggering you, right? And so I
Yeah.
remember my boss at the time, I worked for a company for a brief time, and my boss told my assistant manager or whatever he was, my direct supervisor, to tell me to come to his office. And as I was walking to the office, I physically could feel like I was flinching, like I thought I was going to walk in there and he was going to smack me, like he knew really that I was a piece of shit, and now he was going to tell me
Yeah.
you're really no good. And like I observed that in myself, and I was like, what is that? Like, why is that? Where is that coming from? And I traced it back to several things, but of course there were things that happened in the horrors of addiction for me that made me think I was a bad person, right? Not a
Hmm.
sick person, but a bad person. And then of course there were things in my childhood, some of those things you were talking about, like regression, go back to when those things started, when I was a little kid and I'd get in
Hmm.
trouble and I would be told things like children are meant to be seen, not heard. Your everything you touch turns to shit, things like that.
Yeah.
And I believe that. And and that voice was still in my head. So
Totally.
I really identify how these things really take over, and it's only through a willingness for me as an individual to observe that stuff, look at it, and start questioning all my thoughts and ideas, and not just take it for
Yes.
granted. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. It's and bringing that awareness of, wait, what's my story right now? What is this? And as you're walking to your boss's office that day, you're telling yourself a story.
Right.
Oh, something's wrong with me. I'm bad. I did something wrong, which is making you feel something. And so your body is reacting. The subconscious mind and body is
Yes.
the same thing. So
Yes.
it's going to feed you back those sensations. And, you know, we all have this story, and it's about bringing that loving awareness. So what I say to people is going back. I know it's not always comfortable, but it's through that discomfort that the biggest growth happens, because we are people below our conditioning, below our traumas, below what we were born into. And again, when you're a kid and you hear that phrase, oh, kids are meant to be seen and not heard, you internalize that. And again,
Mhm.
that belief has been stuck inside you. And I mean, I work from young teens to, very much like older adults in their 70s. I work with a wide range of people, and we're all operating from these stories. And so what I'm helping you with is decide, wait, you are a person below the conditioning, and you can change your story at any time. You can rewrite your
Anytime.
story at any time.
Yes. Yes.
Anytime. And it just takes that effort. It just takes that awareness. And you know, the other thing I want to say about the mind, and so often when we are trying to change something about ourselves, we focus on what we are losing or what we don't have. And it's so important to redirect your focus to what you are gaining, right? So as you're overcoming addiction, and it's easy to kind of say, oh, I'm giving up this, or I'm losing this part of my life. It's like, well, instead, what are you gaining? You're
Mm.
gaining a healthy lifestyle. You're gaining being more present with yourself. You're
Mm.
gaining this awareness you're having. And so many of us, we always focus on the negative. Our brains are hardwired to focus on the negative. So it's about, again, catching it and redirecting to focus on what you do have, focus on what you're gaining, because the subconscious doesn't think in negative. It doesn't understand negative. If I say to you right now, don't think about a pink elephant, what did you just think about? Right?
Yeah.
And so we have to redirect it into the positive present tense. I
Yeah.
am this.
Like, um, when you're going to go to the supermarket, instead of telling yourself, gee, I always forget things, right?
Mm,
The more you say that, the more you forget things, right? That's the story you're telling yourself.
totally.
Yeah.
Oh, people say all the time, oh, I'm a nervous public speaker, or I have a bad memory. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's a direct instruction to your subconscious, right? And again, a lot of people have pushback on this, and they say, well, I don't believe this thing yet. I'm going to say I love myself or I believe in myself. I don't believe it. And I say, okay, practice. Anything in life we weren't good at right away. We couldn't talk properly. We couldn't walk properly. Everything takes practice, dedication, rehearsal. And, in this day and age, we live in such instant gratification. If people don't see results in one
Oh,
day, they say it didn't work. And to
yeah.
me, it's like this is a dedication to your life. This isn't a quick fix. This is the ultimate task, is to come back home to the truth of who you are, that you are enough, that you are lovable, that you are worthy exactly as you are. Right. So even
Yeah.
when I work with high performers, yes, I'm helping them in their performance and that performance mindset, that confidence, that belief. But usually what we're stripping down first is just that feeling enough, feeling worthy exactly
Mhm.
as they are, that they
Mhm.
aren't their external result, that you aren't your wins or losses or the people who love you or reject you. Like you are a person below that, right? You were born enough, you were born worthy. And so we're
Yeah.
stripping away the conditioning and coming back home to that truth.
And I think, you know, so I have a history. My first career, really, and my first business was wrote, produced, and directed film, video, television. I did that for about 20 years, maybe a little bit more because I started when I was 16. But I
Amazing.
reached high levels. I lived my dreams. I mean, I directed top performers like, John Travolta, Andy Garcia, Stephen Bauer, Arturo Sandoval, Gloria Estefan. I mean, all these people. And the thing is
Amazing.
that, so like my background, like you, had to do with entertainment, acting, being on camera, directing, right? And so when I'm working with salespeople later on in my next thing, was all about sales and building teams and motivating teams, I would tell people it's like you're an actor on stage. And when you're going out to meet this person, this customer, to do a presentation or whatever, you've got to act like, okay, it's showtime. I'm on stage now. I got to put on my right
Yeah.
face. I got to put on my right attitude. I got to not let myself be triggered by nonsense. I need to focus on this person. I need to do my best to fulfill what they need and, work to help them to solve their issue. And for me, that's why I say papaya all the time. Also, papaya is like my activation word. Papaya means, okay, let's
I
go.
love it.
It's time to win. And so I
Yeah.
self-program myself every day with, those little things. And of course, I want to be better. It's always about improvement. Another few percent improvement, is better. So in going through all this, it's interesting. What kind of what kind of things can people do so that they could start noticing? Do you have any tips on,
Mm.
because I talk to people all the time about you've got to notice what you're noticing. Like it was interesting in
Yeah.
2011 is when I really started the process of getting a divorce from this dysfunctional relationship. It took me 20 years, is the time it took me to do everything. And people told me all along, at least for the last 10 years, what are you doing? How could you be in a relationship with this person? This is crazy. But this is what people told me. And it didn't sink in. Like I couldn't compute, right? But if somebody would ask me, am I feeling fulfilled in this relationship? Does this relationship fulfill me? Do I feel like it's doing something good for me and helping me to achieve my life and my goals? I probably would have had a different answer, and I probably would have went quicker into the, really understanding what was going on, because it's interesting. I feel like obligation is what kept me there, right? And so when I
Mm.
talk to people today who are in dysfunctional relationships and in situations they want to get out, I always say, you want to be in a relationship where people appreciate you, not tolerate you.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in a
Yeah.
relationship out of obligation. You want to be there out of
Hmm.
mutual respect and love for each other, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting how you have to observe that stuff. You have to really look at, why do you do what you do? Why are you
Yeah.
holding on to this, right? And so what kind of tips, um I mean, I imagine you have a process that you do, but can we talk a
Hmm.
little bit about how you can get to that point where you can actually start observing and working on those things?
Totally. We all have we all have habits and patterns that we live from. Again, we create these beliefs and we're always looking to kind of confirm what our beliefs are. And so often, if we've had an unhappy story, we're always trying to look for the ending that's gonna the happier ending, right? And so if you have a toxic relationship with your parents, often when you attract certain relationships, you're trying to change the ending of a painful story. And so what I help people with is going back and figuring out, where did this pattern come from? Why do you, whether it's a relationship or a certain pattern you have in life with your career, anything, it's about taking that pause, that power of the pause, I like to call it, and saying, is this really what I want or who I am? Or is this, as you said the word should before. And I say to my clients, you got to stop shoulding. You got to stop shoulding all over the place. Like, where does that come from, right? It's our conditioning. I should do this. I should do that. Why? I should, because why? Because we get so attached to, this is the right thing to do, or this is how I've always been in this way, so I have to keep being in this way. And so it's bringing that awareness. And often when we're being activated or triggered as adults, what's really happening, younger version of ourselves are being activated. Their needs aren't being met in some way. And so they are feeling unseen or unheard or unloved. And so in the moments as adults, if you have that trigger, or that activating experience, it's just taking that pause and saying, where's this really coming from? And what do I need in this moment? What does my younger self need in this moment? What can I do to make them feel seen and heard and appreciated right now? How can I meet their needs in the ways that they weren't met when I was a kid? So that's what is about reparenting yourself. And you know with relationships, I with relationships, we're always trying to, like I said before, create certain patterns. And so if you want to change the pattern, we have to bring awareness to the pattern. Yes, when I work with people one-on-one, that's what I do. I regress you with hypnosis to get into the subconscious mind to say, where did this pattern begin? Where did it start from? How can we then meet their needs in the moment, question what was happening in the moment, meet their needs, and then reframe it and tell you, this isn't me. This isn't I don't have to carry these beliefs anymore. I'm not that person who I was in the past. I'm a new person now. And I get, like we said before, I get to change my story again. So definitely, if you're noticing yourself in patterns that you want to break, it's just pausing, bringing awareness, and start to question yourself. I'm feeling XYZ because blank. My favorite word is because is the best word to use to start to peel back the layers of the onion to see what's below the surface. I'm feeling this because blank, and that must mean blank, and that must mean blank, right? We're getting below to the deeper belief, to the deeper emotional drive of what's driving your life. So it's definitely having a mentor or a guide or a support to kind of go back and support you in knowing where these deeper wounds came from in order to shift them. But in the moment, if you go back and kind of uncover that, also giving yourself that better suggestion of like, wait a second, I can do this, or I know I deserve better, right? Because that, again, it's going to make you feel something. And I want to touch upon something you said earlier about uh, the activation word that you use, papaya. I love
Yes.
that, because that's what I work on. That's what I work on with performers, is having that power word and having that association in your subconscious that as soon as I say this word, it's going to make me feel something, right? It's going to bring me into the zone or bring me into the flow. Like, it's so important to train your subconscious. So when you see a certain color, when you hear a certain word, when you smell a certain smell, you're training the subconscious, like, this means this. This means I'm in the flow. This means I'm in the zone. The other thing I work on with people, and it's an exercise people can try, and you said, acting as if, it's something that copy and paste, where you're going to copy a version of yourself, your ideal version of yourself. So let's say you're preparing for, you said you work with a lot of salespeople, a presentation or performance, and you're nervous. You're feeling, you don't have a lot of confidence. Let's just choose a moment in your life, when you felt really confident. Like, how do you know when
Yes.
you're confident?
Yes.
Right? Okay, maybe your shoulders are down,
Yeah,
you're standing a bit
I
taller.
just want to interrupt a second. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for example, there's a moment that I visualize with papaya that has to do with
Yeah.
like the most satisfying, incredible presentation that I did that had maximum incredible results, right? And I think about winning. I think about that time that I really won big,
Yes.
that really blew me away, that I was like, "Oh my God, you did it." Yeah, and so I
Yes.
visualize that with papaya to get me in that emotional state that I'm winning, I'm a winner, and nothing could stop me.
Exactly. That's what you're literally getting yourself in the zone means that peak emotional state. That's all
Yes.
what in the zone means. And being in the zone is actually a state of hypnosis. Because in hypnosis or
Mm.
being in the zone, being in that peak emotional state, there you don't think of the past or the future. You're not worried about the wins or the loss. You're so present that your subconscious takes over, right? It's like it's just that memory. And so when you can train your subconscious to as soon as you say that word or smell that smell or see that image. So a tool I use with my performers is called the circle of excellence, where we're training your mind, your body, your way of being to step into that zone, that circle of excellence. And as soon as you activate it, right? And we speed up the process because we're doing it in hypnosis. So we speed up the process of it. So you activate that state and you mentally and emotionally rehearse it. There's a great line that says you have to practice an emotional state until it becomes a neural trait, so that your brain and those neurons that are firing have memorized that emotional state, right? But something that people can do now is copying that ideal state and pasting it in. So it's called copy and paste, where you can say, okay, how do I know in life when I'm confident? And asking yourself, okay, I speak, slower, or I'm breathing deeply, or I feel just calm in my body or grounded, however confidence means to you. Activate it and say, okay, I'm inviting in confidence right now into my body. And notice where it lands. Notice the confidence in your chest or your stomach or your shoulders. Be in that state. And then copy it like a Word document. You copy that confidence and you're going to paste it into that moment that you're stepping on stage, that you're stepping on
Hmm.
court. So you're training your mind that this is how I am. Copy and paste. And you can keep doing that mentally, emotionally rehearsing, not just for performance, but for your life. If you're going on that date, you're like, how do I want to be? Okay, I want to feel this, I want to feel that. Practice it. How do I want to be? How do I know when I am that? Copy that version, paste it in, and practice, practice, practice. So when you arrive in real time, your mind and your body has already memorized that state, that it happens just effortlessly. Right. So that's the power of hypnosis, that we're rehearsing and practicing mentally and emotionally, so that when you show up in the real moments of life, it's just a part of your being effortlessly. You don't have to try. It's just there. That's what I do with people. Just getting into that state.
Yes, so that you could. My phrase is stay in my zone. I want to stay in my zone
Totally.
as much as I can, so that I can be that peak performer and break those records. And
Exactly.
that's what I try to encourage other people to do. So this is really great stuff. So in terms of peak performance and wanting to be a peak performer, what kind of like structure do I need so that I can incorporate this in my life more than just when I'm going to do a presentation, maybe, or something like that? Like, how can I incorporate those states into more? Like I said, I go through physical stuff and pains, and sometimes I feel like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm taking on too much stuff because, this is too hard and I probably should slow down. Then I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is not a slow down time. This is not what you want to do. You want to operate at your peak right now. You can slow down in the future. So, well, what other habits do we need to incorporate along with this besides just those peak moments that you have an event coming up and you want to, how else can we do it to have it show up in our lives more?
Yes, I one thing I will slightly disagree on is that
Okay.
to actually be a high performer is also prioritizing rest and prioritizing not always being in that go, 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 because your nervous system's always going to
Right.
be in overdrive, right? And so
You're right.
when I
No,
work with
you're
my clients,
absolutely right. That's definitely a liability that Eddie has, that I
it's
push
balance.
myself and beat myself up. And then
Yeah.
I go, what are you doing? It's normal to take a couple of days off and relax.
It's all about, like, our systems have to have that balance. When I was working with my athlete earlier today, I said, how was your sleep? Because we're working on her sleep. Sleep is the best form of recovery and preparation for peak performance. We need that. So sleep and rest. And so that's what I mean about hypnosis. So yes, to be a high performer, you want to be aware of your thoughts, I like to call it mental log keeping, being aware of your self-talk and your thoughts, and what's supporting you, what's not supporting you. Effective goal setting, stretchy but it's goals. Goals are really important. But also speaking your goals in the positive present, right? Because again, your subconscious doesn't understand past or future. So if you say, okay, I will do this, I am doing this, it's like you're always going to be trying to get there.
Mm.
So I every day read out my goals in the positive present tense. So you're acting again, your subconscious is like, oh, this has already happened. And then so also deep breathing techniques, relaxation techniques, visualization. Like when we talk about peak performance, so often people think it's just that high intensity, go, 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 go. What I support high performance with is developing tools and techniques to be in actually that grounded, balanced state. So your nervous system is feeling safe and calm and confident and good. That's actually what you need for the high performance, is to feel safe in your being, full of that belief. And so we can do that. Yes, get out there and be on the stage and be on the court and get into the pump yourself up. Yes, I love that. Be loud. I'm an actor. I love being loud. And to get to that state as well, prioritize the rest, prioritize uh, teaching your nervous system to be calm and grounded. And so that's why the power of the mind is so important, that you can be calm in your body in hypnosis and be in this amazing imagery of like you're seeing yourself and you're doing the thing and you feel so amazing. You can do that as you're resting, right? That's just as important
Mm.
for high performance.
Yeah, I wonder what my belief is deep down, why I push myself so hard, and like I rest like when it's like one step away from a breakdown, right? It's like I just keep
Yeah.
going until physically I just can't do it anymore, and then I take a break. I've lived like that. I'm not living like that right now, but I live like that a lot. And like it's like what's driving me to do that is that for some reason, like I think I'm superhuman or something. Like I could just keep going, 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 and I don't need
Totally.
to. And so it's like, uh, I have this term I like to use. It's ugly, and I tell
Mm,
people you're ugly. You gotta love yourself. You got to love yourself, right? UGLY. And so I asked
I
myself,
like
like,
that.
so is this, are you loving yourself? Because if you love yourself, like you take care of yourself, you give yourself time,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
take breaks, you relax, you do things that you enjoy and love. You don't, your life is not all about just reaching goals and, you know, succeeding at a high level. It's also enjoying your life while you're doing it, enjoying the
Yes.
company of your friends and family and whatnot. So, um,
Yes.
I get
I
it.
will say though, yeah, but it's interesting, right? And what I was saying earlier about the conditioning and who we are below the conditioning. And so this society tells us you are only worthy if you are constantly succeeding or expanding or the next achievement and the next thing. And again, that our worth is from our external results. So especially in the West, I will say, when I was traveling last year and I was in Europe and it was summertime and I was in Spain, and I was like, oh, they prioritize rest. They value that in life, because life isn't just about go, 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 work, work, work. Like life is about actually experiencing. And so again, we're so deeply conditioned by society that we have to constantly be going and achieving, and that is what our worth is. And so I personally love to go and turn into nature, because nature doesn't rush, right? A tree or a flower doesn't rush to grow. They know their natural rhythm,
Mhm.
and they know they are worthy. I love to look at animals. They know they are worthy just for existing, right? It's only as humans
Mhm.
that we tell ourselves, "Oh my God, I'm only worthy if I've achieved XYZ, and
Mhm.
I'm only good
Mhm.
enough with this." And so that's what I'm really working on with people, is that developing that worth and that belief and that confidence, that you're not letting your external circumstances dictate your internal experience. And
Right.
that is freedom. That is freedom, when you can have that and build that level of what you just said, self-worth, self-belief. Like, I
Mhm.
don't need the world to tell me who I am. I know who I am. I love who I am, right? The days that I have
Yes.
a great week or I have a win or I have this, like, regardless, I am the same person and I am good enough, right?
Mhm.
So I just like to bring awareness to how deeply conditioned we are in society.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I do a lot of research about different things that interest me. One thing that interests me is how our life has been changed by this giant social experiment that's been going on for the last 10 years or so. And I don't think that most of us don't really take the time to realize how the whole social media revolution has changed everything in our lives,
Everything.
how we communicate, how we want to be communicated to, the instant gratification, the one click. I
Hmm.
want one click. I want one click. I just want to click one and have the answer. I don't want to have to talk. I don't have to discuss things, um, just the whole way, even the way you sell today, it needs to be much more like
Yes.
social interactions rather than, sales pitches and things. So it's really interesting how we have been influenced by that. And culturally, my kids are living a much faster paced life than I did growing up. And
Hmm.
their kids are living a much faster paced life than they did growing up. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
It's
Def-
absolutely crazy.
and definitely I like that you mentioned about traveling, because
Yeah.
that's one of the main benefits of traveling is you get to see how other people live, and how
Yes.
their cultural and societal differences, are good or bad, or whatever, or you're become aware of, like going to Russia, how people, they don't believe in showing emotion in their face, right? They're
Mm.
very stoic. They don't
Hmm.
run around smiling and, sharing emotion all the time, because they just think that they need to be reserved. That's the way they live.
Yeah.
And one of the popular things that quickly I caught on to is they say things like, "I'm not a machine. What do you think? I'm a machine?
Mm.
You just press the button and I go 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 and do things. I'm not a machine." You know. So it's interesting
Interesting.
through traveling, learning these other things. And then you look at that and you think, that's right. I'm not a machine. Like, why do I have this expectation that I'm just going to press a button and go, go, go,
Yeah.
go, go, like the Energizer Bunny? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
But obviously, the
Yeah.
capitalistic, materialistic society we live in kind of promotes the
Hmm.
idea that we need to go, go, go and compete with everybody and compete with the Joneses and, all those kinds of
Hmm.
ideas. But yeah, weeding through all of that to have a life where you can still succeed but enjoy your life at the same time,
Yeah.
that's what we all need. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also, questioning what is your value and what is your intention, right? Like I love my work. It's passion, and I it's my purpose and my passion. And I also want that life of freedom. I also want that rest and that joy. And last summer, I'd take a month off and just enjoy Spain because I can. And yeah, as an entrepreneur, they tell you always hustle, hustle, hustle. That's not my value. That's not
Right.
the value I want in my life and my intention, right? And so it's again, it's getting to know yourself below your conditioning, who you are, what do you want. We're in this hypnosis of society telling us who we are, what we want, what we should buy. It's so deep. We don't even realize that we don't
Mm,
realize who we are and what we want below all of those layers. And so
yes.
it's going into that unknown. It's going into the discomfort, the deeper emotions, the deeper beliefs, the deeper, like, wait, what if I don't want the same thing as this person? Does that mean I'm not good enough? Or it's really getting to know yourself and drowning out that outside noise. That's why I love hypnosis. It's because it's about going deep, and I'm a very deep person. I'm like, let's go, let's talk about our wounds, our traumas, our emotions. Let's go deep. Let's talk about the ideas and the questions and the curiosities of life. Like, I don't need all the answers, right? But I want to keep asking questions.
Mm,
And so it's having that bravery to go into the unknown. That's where the biggest growth happens. And
mm,
you know, I was talking to a athlete client, and she's like, "Well, I'm not seeing the results I have right away." I'm like, "Yeah, and we're not going to know the results. All we know is this present moment. And are you going to let that unknown of that result that might or might not happen dictate how you're feeling right now, or can we choose how you're going to feel right now?" Right? Because that's all we have control over is just ourselves in this present moment, right?
mm. Yes,
That was a few different
certainly.
tangents, but
No, that's fine. Certainly, I think a popular idea when you talk to highly successful people is that you find that they have the ability to manage their identity and their beliefs and their self-talk at a much higher
yeah,
level than the average person does. Yeah.
And they keep going. It's not that they don't experience fears or doubts. Or I just watched this interview with Novak Djokovic, and someone said, you're a master mental performer. He's like, I work on this every single day. He's like, you don't know
Mm.
the battle I'm having inside. So it's not about experiencing a negative thought or a negative emotion. It's about, how are you moving through it? How are you responding to it? Are you going to
Yes.
let it keep controlling you? Right. And so again, it's about bringing this awareness. It's about developing that honest relationship with self. Right. So these things are stuff that we're going to work on every day. If you're looking for the finish line of, okay, I'm good, I'm healed, everything's perfect, that's not going to happen. Right. It's going to be this
Mm.
task of our life. Right. There's not a finish line to get to, but how are you showing up for yourself in every moment? Right. Are
Mm.
you going to
Mm.
just push down the pain or the fears and try and muscle through? You're going to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I'm willing
Mhm.
to look at this part of myself.
Yeah, I mean, I found it fascinating for myself. So back in 2011, it all started because I made a plan, to launch this software company. I had some ideas of what we are going to do. I put a team together. I created a business plan, and the business plan required raising money and raising capital so that I could really maximize the opportunity. And so one day I had some fear, and the
Mm,
fear, the comment that I said to myself in the self talk was, um, I don't think I could do this. I don't think I can make it. Right. And so I talked to my mentor at the time, and then he asked me to be more specific, to actually be more specific
mm,
about what it is that I'm afraid of. And I said, well, I'm afraid I can't succeed. And he said, is that true? Is that like a reality statement? And I said, what do you mean? He
mm,
says, well, could you do it? And I said, well, yeah, of course I could do it. He goes, okay, so then that's a lie that you can't do it, because you could do it. It is possible.
right.
So refine that. What are you really afraid of? And then I thought, well, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able, my plan is not going to succeed. The plan that I laid out of how we're going to do it and how we're going to get there, I'm afraid that that's not going to work, the end result. And so that got me thinking about that. And then I started thinking, really, as I delved into this, I wrote about it. That's my process, is
Mm,
like I journal, right? And I start journaling about it.
good.
And
Nice.
when I
Yeah.
journaled, what I realized is really what this was about was that I really already made all the decisions that of how we were going to move forward. And I put the plan into action, and I was just waiting for the result. And it was my fear of waiting for the result, that my fear of what's going to happen, the unknown of the result, is
Totally.
really all that was happening with me. And then I thought, well, that's very easy to deal with, because I already made a great plan and I already put it in action, and I'm just waiting. So I put this thing on the wall at that time in my life. It said, um, I've already made all the decisions, and I'm just waiting for God's results. And I focus
Mm,
on that every day, to understand that whatever I'm feeling, I'm just waiting for God's results. I've already done everything that was supposed to be done. I've made the
yeah.
best decision I can with what I have. And now I'm just
Yeah.
waiting. And
Yeah.
every day, my affirmation was that I was going to have $900,999 in my bank account by December 31st that year. And on December 23rd, I think it was, or 22nd, I got a commitment from an investor for $1 million, to
Oh
move
my
forward.
God.
So I didn't actually have
Boom.
$900,999 in the bank, but I had a commitment by the end of the year, that
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
for the funding.
And
So, and I just credit it to
yeah,
focusing my attention, asking myself the questions, being aware of what I was doing, and just focusing on the next right thing, and not worrying about the end result. Just forget about the end result. The end
exactly.
result's going to be whatever the end result's supposed to be. I
Exactly.
believe that there's a loving, caring God in the universe, a force for good, call it whatever you want. And I'm just going to let that force give it to me, when it's ready.
Surrender, right?
Yeah.
Surrender. And it's
Yes.
trusting
Yes.
that you've done what you've done. I say to my athletes too, like, focus on that next task at hand. That's all you can do. That's all you have control over, is how you respond in that next task at hand. Right. And so when you focus on that and then surrender, and it's all going to fall into place in the way that it's
Mhm.
supposed to. Right. And when we have those unknowns, it's so easy to always focus on what could go wrong. What if this goes wrong? Again, our brains are hardwired to focus on the negative. going back to our times we were hunters and gatherers to protect ourselves.
Yes.
And so if we can just as easily focus on what's going to go wrong, we can just as easily focus on what's going to go right. So I know you probably heard, what if this goes wrong, but what if this goes right? Another phrase I love to give to my clients is even
Mm,
if I lose this, I'm still a good player. Even
mm,
if this person rejects me, I'm still
mm,
lovable. So even if I didn't get the result I wanted, I still have a great product. I'm still going to try again, even if it's kind of dealing with those uncontrollables, right?
mm,
Um, and just it's yeah, whatever we focus on, where attention goes, energy flows. Where intention also goes. I like to add both. Where attention and intention goes,
mm,
energy flows. When your attention is on,
mm.
okay, I did all of this, I've done what I can do. Your intention of who I want to serve and what's my heart's why behind it. When you focus on your intention and attention, that's what you're going to get more of. That's where the energy is going to flow. And the problem is we always focus on what we don't have. And that's just going to create more of what we don't have. We
Mm.
focus on our fears, that's going to create more fears. So when we can go back to our attention and intention, that's where the energy is going to flow.
So Emma, when I did that exercise back in 2011, what I also started to notice was that there were different areas in my life I was unfulfilled with.
Mm,
And this started me to create the plan of getting a divorce, that I knew that
mm,
I needed to do that for myself. And so I basically reinvented my whole entire life. I mean, that's what my literature is about. That's one of the things I really believe in. It's about you, if you want to really succeed at the highest levels, to unlock what's inside of you, you need to reinvent yourself to be the thing
totally.
that you want, right? And so as I went through that process of that reinvention again, I started recognizing and becoming aware, like I really wasn't fulfilled in my relationship with my wife, that it wasn't
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And it wasn't her fault and it wasn't my fault. It just didn't work. And
It
that's
just
just
didn't work.
life.
Yeah.
And I need to accept the evidence. The evidence is in front of me. It doesn't work. And I just didn't want to
Hmm.
accept it. And it's just interesting that I'm just sharing this with you because it's just interesting how you could be in pain, really, and you could deny it and not want to face it and keep functioning in life every day, with this thing kind of just under the surface, general displeasure, quiet desperation. There's lots of little
Yeah.
names for it all. It's just amazing. I like, everything that you said. I feel so many important things you're talking about here, but I just like to encourage, everybody to like question everything about yourself,
Yes. Yes.
question everything.
Because we are told that to be happy, follow this formula. XYZ is going to make you happy. And so many of us are walking around on autopilot, not even realizing that we're deeply unfulfilled, unsatisfied, unhappy because we're shoulding ourselves.
Mm,
My relationship should be this, or I committed to this and it should look this way. And I think the biggest bravery is looking inside and saying, like, for example, I was an actor. I was like living the hustling actor's life. That was
mhm,
my trajectory, was my path. And
mhm,
it was in a moment where I had to be deeply honest with myself and said that that doesn't fully fulfill me. I've always had a deep love and passion for mental health and wellness. I've dealt with depression since I was 12 years old. I've overcome it, overcome anxiety,
mm,
overcome PTSD. And I also wanted to explore that passion of mine. So, yes, performance is a huge passion of mine, but wellness and mental health is too. And it was the biggest act of say, I'm going to change the course of my life. I'm going to completely change careers. I still act, I still perform, it's still there, but it's more in the back burner right now because this other passion of mine is just, it's filling me up more. But to
mm.
say and to have that honesty and saying, I'm not fulfilled, I'm going to
Yes.
change everything. And people are going to be like, who are you to do this now? You say you're doing this now, and who are you?
Right.
And so it's ignoring that outside noise or leaving your relationship and saying, oh, I quote unquote should stay. It's the right thing to do, but being honest and saying, I'm not happy. I'm worth it to find my happiness.
Mm,
I'm worthy of following what lights me up. And it might not look like somebody else. Right.
yeah.
And to me, that's the point of life, is to follow what lights us up, to follow our joy, our happiness.
Mm.
It's the one life we got.
Yeah, and it's conscious decisions, right? It's like you make a conscious decision at some point. of what you're going to focus your attention on and what is really your belief and priority. I think
Yeah.
for me, most of my life, I've worked for myself because what I really want is freedom. I want freedom to
Agreed.
go and come, work on my own schedule, do
Yep.
what's appropriate for me. And, you know, sometimes you compare yourself to some other ideal that's not you, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. And so like I'll talk to people and like I successfully have cashed out of two different companies that were seven-figure companies. And you know, people like, so why, how come I don't have millions of dollars in the bank? I'm like, because I wasn't chasing millions of dollars in the bank. What I was chasing was
Mm-hmm.
freedom. I lived a life
Mm-hmm.
where I could work for a month or two and then maybe not work for the next 2 or 3 months and just focus on,
Exactly.
my spirituality, my personal growth, hanging out with my kids, playing my drums all day, and it's
Yes.
like, it's a different life. And because
Yeah.
that's what I valued, that's what I truly value
Exactly.
is the freedom to be able to travel,
Exactly.
enjoy life, spend time with my family. And, so so judging yourself against your own beliefs and ideas instead of judging
Yes.
yourself to what society says or what your mom says or what your
Exactly.
friends say is like an important part, right?
And exactly. And we have to have that dance between the conscious and the subconscious because our conscious isn't always being honest with us. It's like, of course I'm happy doing this thing. Of course I want that. And so we have to go into the subconscious and say, wait a second, where did this belief or where did this pattern come from? And is that in alignment with what I want or
Mm,
my value? And again, it takes a lot of courage to say, I'm going to live my life my own way. I mean, I'm a 32-year-old woman. I travel. I don't, I'm a digital nomad. I have my own business. I want that freedom. I'm
hmm
not tied down right now. And I want that. For me, that's my value
hmm
ever since I was young is I want that freedom. I love that I can work and then I can take that month off. I love that I can travel and work and I work with people all over the world and I can go visit my friends here, my family here. I can do what I want. Like that is my value. And maybe that's going to change in a few years, but I have this self-awareness now to say I know how to be in relationship with myself and keep questioning, am I still happy? Is it still fulfilling me instead of just going through life on autopilot? Right? So many of us go through life on autopilot. And again, it's extracting those deeper subconscious uh, beliefs and understandings and feelings, and then having that dance between the conscious and subconscious.
So let me paint a picture. um
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's following me is watching this podcast and this video version of it, and they are feeling that they want to succeed at a higher level. They have dreams and goals that they want to enact in their life. Maybe they feel a little stuck or they lack focus. What kind of things would you say to that person so they could stop the bad behavior, stop the negative behavior, stop beating themselves up, focus on creating a life where they love themselves and take care of themselves? What kind of things would you say to help them to focus on rewriting that subconscious story that they're telling themselves to unlock the power of their subconscious? What would you tell them?
Yeah. Well, one of the first things, and I give this to my clients often, is first just being aware because we're having, I think, I don't, it's like 80,000 thoughts a day or something, the thoughts every day, and they're often the same kinds of negative thoughts or self-limiting thoughts. So the bringing awareness. So often I'll give the exercise of just writing down all of these unconscious thoughts, bringing the awareness to them. So write it down as soon as they come up, in a journal, in your phone, whatever. And then do that for, I don't know, a few days. And then when you bring, and then at the end of your day, look at your list of all of the negative thoughts you've had or all the negative limiting beliefs. And then start to write the opposite of it. Right. And so, what do I want to feel instead? How do I want to be instead? And so, writing the
Mm,
positive present tense of that opposite belief and doing that for, and then getting to the end of your day and being like, okay, how did I do today? Right. Bringing this awareness, you got to make the unconscious conscious. So, bringing that awareness of like, okay, what isn't working? What am I stuck in? Life is about constantly overcoming the old self. To
mm,
create new, we have to overcome the old way of being because your subconscious is
mm,
always going to go back to what is familiar. It loves what is familiar, even if the familiar isn't what you want anymore.
Right. Like you
It's
have
what
a
it's known.
dysfunctional relationship and you just keep going back to that dysfunctional relationship and you keep
Exactly.
going through that cycle of trying to be together and make it work and then it doesn't work and you're done and then you're back trying it again and you just get caught in that cycle.
So exactly. And so it's just this familiar way of being. And so what we're doing is making a new familiar. So even making a list of these are all the things I'm going to make unfamiliar. My negative talk, my bad eating habits, whatever it is, make everything unfamiliar and then make a list of everything you're making familiar. I'm making, drinking what more water familiar. I'm
Mm.
making exercise familiar. I'm making being kinder to myself familiar, right? And so being really aware of all the unconscious thoughts and patterns that are familiar and consciously saying, I'm going to make this thing familiar and start to focus on that.
Mm.
So, and another way to build confidence is so much about releasing self-criticism. So again, with all of that, we're so self-critical in this world. We look in the mirror and the first thing we do is criticize ourselves. And so
Mm.
again, it's catching that pattern, that
I'm
unconscious
guilty. I'm
pattern.
guilty of that for
Oh,
sure.
totally, me too, right? I can wake up, oh, I look so tired today, or I look good today. Catching that pattern and replacing it, replacing it with something that's feeling better, replacing it with a deeper truth and just being kinder to yourself, right? To build
Mm.
confidence, it's really about compassion and building self-compassion. The highest way to build self-esteem is to praise yourself, is to
Mm.
build that praise. And it's the hardest thing for people, right? And I get it. And what I like to say is like, imagine your mind is your friend. So we've talked about the conscious and subconscious. So if the conscious is mind one, the subconscious is mind two, knowing that the subconscious is taking everything literally, see your subconscious as your friend. So sometimes my conscious mind, I'm like, ugh, it's annoying. I can be hard on myself, but I know that my subconscious is always listening and my subconscious is my friend. So how would I talk to my friend? How would I
Mm.
talk to them? Be loving. What I like to say to
Yeah.
my clients too is that we are with ourselves. We are with our minds from the moment we're born to the moment we die. We better make it a good place to live. We're the only
Yes.
one listening. We
Yeah.
see and experience life through our lens, through our energy. If we want to change anything, we have to change our
Mm.
energy, our
Mm.
emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs. It's possible.
Yeah.
And then you change your internal state, then you're going to start changing your external state. So for people, just, yeah, start to extract those unconscious negativity and start to just replace it and repeat and repeat, repeat, repeat. And again, that's more conscious. If people also want to do it subconsciously, I mean, this is why hypnosis is so effective. It's because it's getting poured into your subconscious without any effort from you. And I have some free recordings on my website that people can experience
Mm.
if they want to just try out hypnosis for free. So yeah,
That's
that's what I would
awesome.
say.
I'll put that in a link in the information for everybody. Interestingly enough, my belief is that um it's life is really the thing about life is it's all about relationships. And the
Mm,
first one is I have to have a healthy, good relationship with myself because I'm
yes.
no good to anybody to do anything if I don't have a good relationship with me. And then I have to have a
Yeah.
really good relationship with a loving, caring higher power, right?
Yep.
To me, it's God, but I know some people don't like the word God. They have issues. So I don't care what you call it, but some force for good in
I
the
agree.
universe that you could tap into because I
Yep.
can't handle everything myself. I
Oh,
need help,
100%.
right? And
I
then
have to surrender to a higher power.
and then
Totally.
once you have that, those two, then you have healthy relationships with others, right?
Yes,
So that's
exactly.
kind of like my overarching philosophy that kind of fits into what you're saying. What I'm struck by after all this, I was just thinking is like so much, I feel some kind of well, first let me just say this. I look in the mirror and I'm losing hair on the top of my head. It's starting to thin out and it bugs me. And
Mm,
I've often consciously thought like, do I need to learn to just love and accept myself the way I am? Or is this something that I need to change? And I'm
mm,
fighting not accepting my hair loss and my hair problem because
yeah,
I want to change it because the
yeah,
outcome of me having the hair like I did when I was younger, like it means something to me. Um,
yeah,
so but it's interesting what you're saying because you could go either way. Either you could,
totally.
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's also, I was gonna say, it's about what I work with my clients as well as acceptance. And it's not an either or, right? It's a yes and. You can say, I do love and accept myself exactly as I am. And sometimes I wish this was different. That's my
Mm,
truth. Both things are my truth, and there it's okay. It's okay to have both.
mm,
Like I do that. I look at myself or I look at, my body. I'm like, oh, I love myself. I love myself. Oh, yeah, maybe I wish, my arms are a bit more toned or whatever it may be. I can have both. I can still
mhm.
be in the experience of a yes and, right? The other thing with, I would say with hair or anything physical, hypnosis is great for all of that. Hypnosis has helped skin conditions, hair. Like I said, it
Mm.
really works because you're talking to
Oh,
yourselves.
I think I need
I've had
help.
a,
I think I need
hey,
help,
I can
Emma. Like for example,
get,
um, just in a recent awareness. I have four
Mhm.
kids, and with a couple of them, I talked a lot about their bodies and diet and health for their
Mm,
physical attributes. And I realized through this, I was telling my son, I apologized because I realized what a lot of those conversations stemmed from was the fact that I have a negative body image of myself. I've had it since I
yeah,
was a kid. And so here I am projecting my negative body image onto my son
yeah,
and telling him he should do
yeah,
something about that. But really, he doesn't need to do anything about it if it doesn't bother him, right? If it's not an
yeah.
issue for him, right? And he's okay and comfortable in his own skin the way it is, who am I to tell him he should change something? Like, so this awareness is interesting. And that's definitely something that um, I have tried to do it myself, and
Mm,
certainly I'm much better than I ever was before. But I definitely could use some help with that. And I think that just leads me to the point: is what's the benefit of having somebody else help me to do these things rather than me just trying to do it myself?
yeah. Well, we all need support, right? Life is hard. Let's just say that life is hard. We need those guides, those mentors, those therapists, those coaches, to be that voice when we don't always have it. I've had many mentors in my life, many therapists, many coaches, because
Mm,
it's a lot harder to give yourself what you can also give to somebody else, right? And we can't always see our wounds, right?
mm,
So in session with me, I see myself as the guide, as a facilitator, having a certain lens that you might not be able to fully see because you're in it, right? You're in your life experience. So I know where to direct you or to
mhm,
ask certain questions to get to those deeper wounds,
mhm,
right? And so
mhm,
I mean, like anyone, we all need support in life. We all need that outside figure to be that guide when we don't fully see ourselves in the way that we want to. So I mean, I believe in having whatever it is, a coach, a therapist, a mentor. I've been in therapy of some sort, some form since I was like 15 years old because I need that outer support. And it's looked into, it's been different modalities over the years, but it's having that outside person to give you insight that you don't always have. And in terms of what you're saying about your body, that's the thing, is that what we're experiencing as adults, we haven't healed certain wounds. So we pass that on to our children, and then they experience that. They pass it on to their children. It's that
mm,
generational, I mean, generational
mm,
trauma takes many, many forms. Um, and so when we can go back, and when I tell my clients who are parents, it's like when we are healing you now, we're healing your full family line as well. Because when
mm,
you heal this part of you, that's going to help your kids and their kids and their kids, or generations from the past. Right. And so we're breaking free from those that conditioning, that pain, those stories, right? We can always change the stories. The other thing about body is I have one of my hypnosis recordings that I sell is about loving your body. And it's not your typical body positivity, but it's actually about tuning into what our bodies do for us every day. Connecting to, oh my God, thank you, skull, for housing my brain and allowing me to think. Thank you, hands, for being able to do all these things and type. And thank you, lungs, for getting me to breathe. And actually tuning into, like, oh my God, our bodies are incredible. And we always
mm,
focus on what they look like, not how they're
mm,
actually getting us to function every day, right? And so
mhm,
there's so
mhm.
many different ways to tap into our bodies, and also knowing that we are all unique beings, right? How beautiful is it to get older and have our bodies change? That means we've experiences. I love my lines on my face now, my laugh lines, it means I've lived my life. I've been through things. And so it's just in those reframes, right? It's just in those reframes. And again,
Yeah.
questioning, it's like, why do I hate my body? Oh, maybe because society's telling me I'm only worthy if I look a certain way. I'm only worthy if I'm a certain size. And it's like, well, where did that come from? Do I have to believe it? Is this my truth or is this my conditioning? Ask
Mm.
yourself that question every day. I
Yes,
always do. Is
yes.
this my truth or is this my conditioning?
Mm. Emma, I have enjoyed our time together so much. I feel like
Me too.
I'm learning stuff, and basically now I've got more work of things I need to do, and I need to get some help with some things like my negative body image. I'm ready to let go of it. Emma, I'm ready to
Yes.
say it's
That's the first
gone.
step.
I'm
Yes.
ready for that. I'm ready for that now. Really, I'm glad we talked about all this. So,
And focus on
is there
what you do
anything?
love.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because there's a lot to love of me.
Exactly. Exactly. Focus on what you do love. That's how we start to change. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, is there
Yeah.
anything that you want to touch on that I didn't ask you, or anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just really want people to know the power of their subconscious, the power of their minds. Like it is our superpower. It really, really is. And it's not about being perfect every day or feeling good in every moment. It's about bringing again that honesty and awareness in your daily life. I also really want people to know that hypnosis is not scary. It is so gentle. We're naturally in a hypnotic state every single day. We're just accessing a different set of brain waves where we're tapping into the subconscious. So you're in hypnosis as you wake up, as you go to bed, when you're watching a movie, you're in a trance,
Mm,
you're in a state of
mm,
hypnosis. When you're driving or walking home, you've done that route a million times, you're in a trance. That's a state of hypnosis. So when we can optimize that state, that's what's so powerful. So it's perfectly natural, it's gentle, you remember everything, you're always in control. And if you want to experience hypnosis for free, I have two free recordings on my website. One is about activating abundance, and one is for athletic performance. So you can find
mm.
both of those free recordings on my website, emmaheywoodhypnosis.com. And I also have a free connection call, is what I call it, a free 30-minute connection call on Zoom. If you
Oh,
want to find out
wow.
more about my sessions, my packages, more about this work, I carve out that time and I can share more with you how to work with me and how to experience this powerful transformation.
Fantastic. So, Emma, thank you for all your energy, your positivity, and helping me to become a little bit more aware that I still have more work to do. And
We always will, though, right? We always
and let
will.
me
We
let
always
me
will.
affirm, I am going to Turkey, to Turkish hairlines, where that seems to be the center of the universe for getting hair transplants. I just want to affirm I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it in
Love it.
2024. I'm going to get a new head of hair.
Love it. I'm going to Turkey as well in 2024, so maybe I'll meet you there.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Emma.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
having me. This
much.
has been
Yes.
this has been great. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk later.
Sounds good.
Have a good one.